Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our show brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Aqua Patio, Apex, Bullet, G3, Suncatcher, Hurricane, Polarcraft, Skeeter, Stingray, and Sweetwater. Those are the makes. Models, everything from deck boats to fishing boats to john boats to pontoons. Great selection, great prices, most importantly, great service. Madisonville Marine, about to celebrate their 40th anniversary coming up. There's a reason they've been around for that long, and it's the fact that folks keep coming back to them. You buy a boat from them once, you'll buy your second one or your third one. You'll take it down there for them to take care of it. They do great work. Madisonville Marine, madmarine.com. All right, want to welcome in the basketball section of our group today. Sitting right next to me is Houston Fancher, former Vol assistant and former head coach at Appy State. We have right there former Vol basketball player making the trip. He's just happy to get out of the state of Kentucky. Tired of hearing the big blue talk. Isaiah Victor, former Vol with us. And then right there, Mark Pankratz with us every week, former D1 player at Milwaukee, former assistant under Bruce Pearl, and Conzo Martin here at Tennessee. Look, guys, we've talked about this a little bit in terms of this NCAA thing just kind of hanging over the Tennessee program. I want to get specific with each one of you, though, on aspects of recruiting, because that's where the issue seems to lie. We have a graphic, I think, of the folks that are lined up at the moment for Tennessee. You got Shambari, Phillips, and Admiral Schofield coming in next year, the class of 2016-17. Romello White, you've got all three-star guys there. Donnie Tyndall, Mark, has said that the NCAA stuff really hasn't hurt recruiting. What's he going to say? Dave Hart, athletic director, came out and said, well, it has been a challenge. How do you get around this? I mean, how successful can Donnie Tyndall be at recruiting to Tennessee until this thing is resolved?
Well, I think the recruiting via phone or when you go out to the kids' campus or the house, that's tough, especially if you're talking about high school kids. The way you get around it is, one, you bring them on campus and they come to a spring game with 100,000 people. They see the facilities. They see the excitement that this fan base has. And then, two, you got to be strategic in who you recruit. I think if you're trying to sell parents on letting them watch or coach your kid for 4 years, it's a tough sell. But if you can recruit junior college players that are only going to be in your program for 2 years, or you go out there and get those fifth-year transfer guys, those are the guys that you're going to have to put more emphasis on to continue to build your roster.
And as we saw this year, that is not an easy. That's not the best way to build a program. That's difficult because it's very much hit or miss.
Well, it is. It's hit or miss. But you saw Kennedy at Ole Miss.
He did.
Hit, yep. So it is. But it's hit or miss.
All right, Isaiah Victor, former hotshot recruit yourself. Let me ask you. We all know that people say, well, the kids have to sign with the school, not the coach. That's not a reality. That's just not the way it happens. So if you are a player, put yourself back in your recruiting days. How big of an issue would it be if you're looking at a coach who's got an NCAA thing hanging over him? You don't know if he's going to be there the full 4 years or not.
It's a big issue. Wherever there's smoke, there's fire. So it's got to be a little something going on for them to even be talking about it. I'd be very concerned, but rapport with people is what makes decisions. I made my decision because of my rapport with Lawrence Frank, Kevin O'Neal. So if he can get those players to like him enough, if he's consistent enough and gets personal enough with the players, he can probably get some better players than we think he can get, some 5 stars, 4 stars. But as it sits right now, it's looking like we're going to have to go the junior college route, as Mark has said, or those 3-star guys.
Houston, as a former head coach, let's put you in Donnie Tyndall's seat for the second. You're in a living room, topic comes up naturally. The kids sitting there, mom and daddy are asking, how do you spin it?
Right now, I think the big thing is you got to make sure you put it out on the table. That's got to be not the first thing you say when you talk to recruits, but it's got to be, they don't need to find out about it from someone else.
Which of course they would,
You can control that. You can control your conversation with a parent. Now, during this period of time, he's not going to be in many living rooms. He's going to be in a coach's office, or they're going to be on campus because they're not going to do many in-home visits at this point in time. So the conversation he has on the phone, now you can't control what other coaches are telling them. That's where the problem comes in, because you're fighting the other coaches saying, hey, these guys are getting ready to get fired. They're going on, they're going on probation. You're not going to get postseason. You're not going to get this or that. That's the thing he's really having to compete with right now. I think he continued recruit through this because the opportunity to play at Tennessee outweighs what may happen down the road with the NCAA.
And you mentioned opportunity. I mean, you're losing Josh Richardson, who's your leading scorer, your point guard. You have no post player. You have no consistent shooter. There's a lot of opportunity for good players to come play right away.
Isaiah, how big of a deal is that for you? Look, when you were coming out, was playing time opportunity at the top of the list, or was it just the rapport with the coaches? How big a role does that opportunity play in the decision
A
making?
very big role. That was the first thing I was looking for. Where could I go and play right away? It wasn't Kentucky, so I didn't want to go that route. I knew I'd sit the bench. I wanted to go somewhere and play as soon as I got on campus. That didn't quite happen since I had my red shirt freshman year, but still, once I got out there, I didn't have to sit behind a lot of great players and wait my turn. So that's a big thing.
Especially for junior college guys and fifth-year transfers. You want to come in and make an immediate impact. You don't have time to be a cheerleader for a year to earn your role. You got to have a role waiting for you when you get on campus, and I think that's the one thing he's selling right now. You're not seeing him in the high schools right now. You're seeing him at, Al Pinkins went straight to the national tournament in Hutchinson, Kansas as soon as they got beat in the SEC tournament, spent the entire time there, and then the way they're recruiting now is basically all on junior college and fifth-year transfers.
There you go. All right, guys, we'll have you back in a little while. I want to talk about right now Tennessee just kind of idling, for lack of a better word. They're stuck in neutral until a lot of this goes by. You're having to build, instead of building with freshmen, you're building with JUCOs and fifth-year transfers. Is Tennessee losing ground in the SEC at all? We'll discuss that a little bit later in the show. Next, we've been doing this for the last 3 weeks. This is week 4 as spring practice gears up. We do our last 2 spring practice previews. The position group we start with, wide receivers. That's next on the Sports Source.